Okiru.
I don't know. Like, I feel like when I talk casually, I just swear. Like,
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know if that's. I'll try for you guys, but
Bro, just be your natural self. There's no point in having this filter, right?
yeah, true. Let me get this out the
That's
way.
it.
Yeah. All right.
It's like why do we put these filters on ourselves, man? You know?
Hey, it's for the kids, bro.
That's the first subject. Like, why do we?
Filtering and censors, man. Why do we do this to ourselves, man? Why do we?
I don't know. Why do we do it? I don't know. It's crazy.
Have you seen that the Kanye thing where he goes, the reason why we have a lot of anxiety is because we're trying to always give out the right answers and instead we like the reason why we feel that anxiety is when do you feel the most anxiety? Like when you're doing a test.
Right.
And so that whole thing of living life trying to find always the right answers or giving the right answers. For him, it's just whether he's wrong or right. He just says it because that's what he believes at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gets corrected or he doesn't get corrected or like whatever. Like, yeah.
I guess it's
just him doing
podcast, then.
that's how it is in the podcast, bro.
Yeah, us being us then.
It's just us being us, man. But yeah, I think I do like that topic of anxiety and that censorship stuff. Trying to always say that the right thing, but how do we really know what the right thing is, man? Right? Is it? Do we fear that judgment? That's why we always feel like we have to say the right thing or the correct thing. That's why I like Kanye. I don't know if you've seen him do the Joe Rogan stuff. He's just whatever. But that's his character. And that's why I grew to like, oh, this is where he's coming from. Everyone's like, oh, who's this guy? It's so weird, man. Like, who does this guy think he is, you know? But if you like try to see where he's coming from, his mindset, it's hard to understand, but you just got to give credit where it is. Like, he has this whole unique mindset that no one ever like really understands. And that's why people don't, I guess, accept him or hate him because of that. They're being misunderstood. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how he says like his mind is like he's putting this symphony together of all these different things. And so that's why it's a little bit hard to understand because he's chucking all these ideas coming at left, right, center, like hard to understand but in his mind he's just trying to construct it.
Yeah. Really I think what a lot of people also forget is that as much as he denies it himself, he's first and foremost, or at least his introduction to the world was he was a rapper, or he is a rapper. So you also think like a lot of them are self-centered. Like
it's true.
So that when people were like, "Oh, why is he so egotistical?" It's like, bro, he's a rapper. Like, and then it's like how many rappers have you been like? Yeah, I want to be number 2, bro. Like, like no one says it. It's like, oh yeah, I murder everything except this one guy. He's alright. Like I can't touch you. Like, sorry guys. Like, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, Kanye's a man, bro.
He's a man. He
really is. Artistically and just
What have you guys experienced that a lot of that anxiety and trying to censor or filter whatever you're trying to say just so you could fit in or impress others?
100%. You know what I mean? Like I think the thing is like you have to do it, right? Because especially when you meet someone new, you kind of have to gauge that person, right? I think I'm just trying to think of a good example, like because you don't want to come off as like a dick to someone,
exactly,
right? Whether or not that's who you are, like you just don't want to come off that way, right? Sometimes people don't get your humor, can come off as like you know, damn. I'm trying to be correct about this.
Hey, watch out, man! You're gonna get cancelled. You say that.
Yeah. Nah, you know, I'm gonna shoot some shots, bro. Like, I'm gonna say, JP. JP is very on the surface, and that's cool. Like, that's him. And it's like, yeah, I know that he's coming from a place where it's all jokes, but he is the same way he is at the start than like the second, third, fourth time you've seen him. He's always the same.
Yep.
That's the thing, like you just, yeah. So there's some people who like, they can do it, but then like, I know that there's people who probably wouldn't tolerate JP based on first impressions. So yeah.
Why do you think well, so for we're talking about JP. But, why do you think that there's that thing where he's able to just like not give a damn of what other, like he's gonna be himself no matter what? Why do you reckon?
To be honest, like me personally, JP is an enigma to me. Like for real, he's an enigma. like again, so I met him through playing COD. And the whole time he's just talking shit the whole time, right? Like the whole time. And I don't know where that confidence comes from. Maybe because it's virtual, like I can't beat his ass or anything. But then it's funny because we had dinner together, like us boys, JP, and some other friends. Sorry, what did I say? Other friends?
It's the Shinobi guys. There's just other friends now, man.
Yeah, it was us and the Shinobi boys. Yeah. We had dinner, and well, firstly, like JP tripped me out because he actually said some smart stuff. like from all the shit talking, you wouldn't think that's how he speaks, or that he had the capacity to speak that way. So then when he did, it was like, what the fuck? Like, who's this guy? Like, where did all this come from? He's a completely different person. But then he'll drop like sneak jokes on people. I was like, yeah, like if you're not paying attention, you won't catch it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, and yeah, like he's an enigma. That's what I'm saying. Like I can't pinpoint where he. Maybe it's because I don't know him that well or well enough to see. Because the thing is, like, I only know him through COD and very short interactions. I definitely don't know anything about his history or anything like that. So, I mean, Jaspers probably the one who knows him better. So
actually,
knows him better,
Gerald probably know him a lot better. Okay, yeah. I think we know him. We know him pretty well. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you guys could probably enlighten me as to like where that comes from, because
to be honest, we can't speak on JP's behalf. He knows. We can have our own guesses of where it comes from. But yeah, like
for real.
JP's like really everyone's multidimensional. Like they're all we think they're just one thing. They're like, oh, look at this jokester, but really, there's this other side of him that's like, whoa. Yeah, it has a lot of wisdom as well.
For real. Yeah, like you said, man, I don't know. Just the two JPs I've met is just the most bizarre thing. Like he's both the dumbest person I've met and like one of the smartest persons I've also met. Like it's just bizarre. Like I can't figure it out, right? There's no in between with him, man.
That's why he's so. That's why he's him, because he allows to be in that gray area, whereas people want to see a black and white of things. And sometimes people can only understand black and white, right?
Yeah.
And that's when people who are in the gray get misunderstood by those people.
Yeah.
They can be two things at one time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you think we can, just even us, because I know we're all trying to be better ourselves. How can we be this consistent person that the way we live is the same in our private, our public, and kind of living in this glass house? How can we be that person, do you reckon?
To be honest, like, this might not be the actual answer you were looking for, but personally, I see it's just you kind of can't. you can't be yourself everywhere, right? So the way I see it is like you need your personal self who can just be, you know, whatever you want it to be. But then you also need your professional self.
Right.
Because the way you interact with people, it changes depending on the situation, right? So for example, like for me, I work at a restaurant. If I was to talk to you as friends, there's a certain language that we can use, right?
Right.
And if you were to come to the restaurant and then I was to talk to you from behind, like as a job, like the language I have to use is different. You know what I mean? Because I need to convey that information to you. Right? Like if I was to say like
it's all those Chili Willy's head.
A full birthday, my man.
Busog, man. He's Busog, bro.
I know.
He's blessed. Right. He's blessed. He's blessed beyond measure.
Right, go. Let me take that from the top.
Please do.
All right. As I was saying, there's two languages. You know, like I said, you can have your personal language, which is like if I was just to talk to you as friends. Say we were talking about a burger, right? Like as a friend, I could say like, oh, you know, that burger's the shit.
Right.
Yeah. I could say that to you and you'd be like, you could interpret that as our friend language. And you can interpret that as like, oh, okay, so that's really good. Right. But then if I was to kind of, yes, like talking my professional language to you, and if I was to say the same thing, you could interpret that as, oh, okay, so that's maybe kind of like not that great or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation because whether you realize or not, like the way you interact with people changes. And yeah, I guess it's also like, getting comfortable with people. Because like again, like there's a point where the professional and the personal will have to kind of blend together. Yeah. So it's, I don't know.
No, I do like that answer.
So,
I think, yeah, I do see where you're coming from. I do.
I don't think there could ever be one. You can't ever just be yourself, I think is probably not. Yeah. Because again, like, damn. No, I just came up with a much.
Okay. Go. Go.
Much better example. So, when I was a team leader, right? I made it a personal mission to always kind of serve my team first before I served my managers.
Yep.
And the reason was, the way I saw it was, if I keep my team happy, then they'll work harder for me, not management. You know what I mean? I wanted to create an environment that made everyone happy. Right. So, yeah. So everyone, for the most part, like, you know, they did their work, they hit their targets, they did what they needed to do. And that's where I was able to show kind of more of myself, as opposed to just like, oh, I'm your team leader, you do what I say. Right. But then there's also those moments where like, okay, someone's starting to underperform, then I have to kind of put on the manager hat and be like, hey man, like you need to, you know, do X, Y, and Z to meet your XYZ goal. Right. Like, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it's ever possible to just be yourself all the time. because if you're naturally like a positive, kind of friendly, or something along those lines, like when it comes time to being authoritative, damn, I can't say it, authoritative. Like it kind of is. There's some people who will interpret what you communicate as like,
of course,
oh, that's just my mate talking to me still.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, no, like I actually have to be your boss now.
Right.
And it's pretty much why we have job titles, right? Like, it's so that you can communicate to certain people in a specific way. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, so for the examples that you gave, a lot of it is to do with like a role base. Would you say that does that really change who the person that you're perceived to be? If that makes sense, as in like, okay, this time you have to be more authoritative, or the other time you're like more of a friend. But of course, you'd probably use the language that you use is a little bit different. But does that really define? Do you believe that it defines the person that you are because of the language that you use? If that makes sense.
To an extent, because like, man, I feel like I'm throwing myself under the bus.
No.
Because like,
no, it's good.
No, I don't know.
I mean, like,
it's
funny because like I don't work for this place anyway, so I don't know shit. So it's like, yeah.
People are listening.
I know, man.
I know they listen, bro. They listen.
Gotta keep it on my life. This is just between us, yeah.
It's between you and me, man.
No, like, I think when it's not you, well, yeah, like, I think the best way to say it is like when it's not you, especially being like a team leader or something like that, like you're kind of being the voice of other people. Because obviously you can give your mates like heads up, like, hey man, like, you know, people are looking at you funny, like, because you're doing XYZ or you're not meeting your goals or whatever. But when you need to actually convey like serious messages, like that's where you kind of have to be kind of someone else. You know what I mean? But yeah, you
step
kind of
into
right.
another person's shoes, like step into
100%. It's just like, like I said, I fully think that you can't be yourself all the time. Like I genuinely think that you can't.
Right.
And again, like I think a good example is JP. Like he's a goof. Like 90% of the time I speak to him, and then the 10% that he needs to actually convey like serious information to me, he switches. Like he's just like some, I don't know, some guru about business or whatever. Like
right.
He just he flips a switch, and you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
You can't say that either personas is not JP, but they're not the same all the time, if that makes sense. Like,
I can tell you this, it's actually the same. No matter what the environment is, whether it's with a business situation, or us mates hanging about, he will always be that person, and he will talk about stories of at work too. He'll be the same person too. Like, you know, it could be a good night, you know, it's like a Friday night, we're relaxing and just like doing our thing. And he can be both. He can be that person who's still enjoying his time, but he can still be that person you can talk serious things about, right? That's from my personal experience.
Yeah.
Right?
But sorry, no, when you say serious stuff, though, do you mean like business talk, or do you
business?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's been times like it'll just be us two where we're on a holiday, or we're just on a trip, and you're just there to enjoy time. But eventually you start talking about, hey, like, what can we do for our businesses? What can we do to add value to others? What can we do as people to bring value to the world that we have, right? We're the people we're surrounded by.
Yeah, for real.
That's why I do see where you're coming from as well. Like, I understand, like, we all need these communicative tools that we need to use in certain situations, but I don't think that makes us different people. I think it just makes us say, okay, hey, look, I have this part. We're going through this situation. I know I have this in my tool belt that I can use to make sure that this situation is gonna be better off. It doesn't make me someone else. Yeah. It just allows me to use the things that I've learned in the right circumstances, I guess.
JP is a really good example of that. Because out of like, one of the people that stays consistent in terms of who they are is JP. Like, there's no one in any situation. Yes, he can joke around and he can be serious in situations, like, but no matter what, I was like, oh yeah, that's JP. I know him. Like, that's how he is. I was gonna ask. So, what do you reckon defines a person? Like, what defines them as them? Do you reckon?
That's a good. that's a really deep question, man.
It's a pretty deep.
I was thinking it when you asked. Like, oh.
It's really deep, man. Like, it's hard to. I don't think there's any one like attribute that you can assign to a person.
Right.
I mean, obviously there are the standout few, but like, realistically, like, yeah, man, it's a pretty deep question, man. Like,
is that something you've thought about though for yourself? What defines me? Like, who am I as a person?
What defines me? No. I'll flat out say no. Like, nah, like, yeah. I want to say I know myself pretty well. Like, I'm pretty like on it.
Yeah.
But even though I couldn't like define myself, like, yeah, I think when it comes to the people around me, that's where I could be like, you know what, I can attribute, certain aspects to this person, right?
Right.
But even then, like, the next day they'll turn around and like surprise me with something completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to the extent, it's like, man, sometimes I surprise myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, things that I didn't think I'd be into, or things that I didn't think I would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, like, even becoming bring it back to work, but like, even becoming like a team leader, like, I didn't think that would be something I would do. Like,
right.
Like, when I started at that job, I was just like, no, that's dumb, bro. Like, who would want to do that? Like,
exactly. True. Why would I want to lead people, man?
Yeah, man. Like,
I just want to do my job. I want to get paid and get out of here and like have fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, man.
Right.
But then it's just like, yeah, things change. Like, what, your cells change all the time, and eventually just, yeah, and like, your situation changes too.
For sure.
So it's hard to pinpoint something about a person. Yeah, and that's why, like, I can't even do it to myself. Like, I genuinely can't be like, oh, I like to film stuff every now and then. play video games.
I like to get L's on, sneaker raffles. This is the beginning of the win-lose podcast, bro. This is it.
That's it. 100%. But yeah, man, like I think it's like, to go back to the question, like, man, it's too difficult to really just pinpoint,
right?
One thing or even everything. You know what I mean?
I guess we just like to ask these thought-provoking questions because, we like to ask ourselves this as well. And anyone who listens, maybe they might think, oh man, what questions should I ask myself as well, right?
But funny you say that is because, like, pretty avid listener, I would say.
Well, thank you for listening.
I genuinely think there's like a handful of episodes I missed.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're right. Like, sometimes I even apply myself to, like, if I was the guest and you were asking those same questions, like, what would I say? What would my response be? Like, I remember you guys, it's the very first podcast, JP, and I'm not familiar with the other guy. Was it Chris?
Chris, yeah.
Yeah. You start off and it's like, man, do you guys, like, I can't remember the exact question, but on the lines of, like, do you guys imagine yourself, like, crashing your car? Right. And everyone's like, oh yeah, like, it's a how do they say it? Like a danger mechanic, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
Well, yeah, someone said it was a danger mechanic. And I was like, man, if I was to answer that question, I'd be like, yeah, but the way I think about it is, like, how do I get it so that someone pays me?
You're thinking, yeah, bro.
Like,
thinking ahead, bro. I'm thinking about my family.
No, that's it, man. Like, sorry, I just adjust. I'll happily say, like, I don't think I've ever been in that dark of a situation where, like, I've, thought of suicide or anything like that. Like, I know that people go through it and stuff, but I don't want to say, like, I'm lucky that I haven't thought about it or anything. But yeah, like, I was just thinking, like, man, how do I get that bag, bro? Like,
yeah, the shopping bag, the shopping bag,
No, but, like, so it's like when people tailgate me, man, I'm like, bro, it's go time, bro.
It's my time to shine.
We're about to get that payout, we're about to be in the money, bro. Like,
it's thinking ahead, man.
No, and that's it, because, like, yeah, that's my mindset. I'm just like, oh man, like, how do I get that money, bro? Like, I need that shmoney.
Like, I need to get me some more Red Horse, man.
Exactly, man.
And some more Chili Willies, man.
This ain't cheap, bro.
It ain't cheap, man. It ain't cheap. Interesting. Interesting. See, this is why I guess we like to talk to different types of people, because we get different perspectives on things, right? Like, we have your perspective now. It's like, how can I get something out of this, right?
It's not the yeah, I guess it would be. But I guess my perspective on that question is a bit different, because again, like, the origins of the question was around suicide,
right?
But like you said, my perspective is different, where I've never actually had those thoughts. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would flip it. You know what I mean? And make that question kind of work for me in a sense.
Yeah.
Because like, bro, like, I've thought about crashing the car, but, like, again, man, like,
for different reasons.
different reasons.
How can I get that new whip?
Yeah, man. It's like, Hey man,
Have
the
to get that
Jeep looks
insurance
good,
money.
bro.
Exactly, bro. You gotta get that payout somehow. Gotta get that money somehow, bro.
Oh man, and the dickhead in me like is like, bro, just hit that brake like real hard one time. Just one time, bro. One time and then hit accelerate like hard, bro. Like
damn. I guess maybe we'll have our own methods of making money, right? We're gonna get creative sometimes, right?
Hey man, it's that hustle, bro.
It's about that hustle. This is a true hustle, bro.
Hustle, bro.
You're hustling people, dog.
Hey man, Shinobi needs that seed money.
Sorry, man. It's going to a good cause. Your investors, bro. Investors, man.
Angel investors, yeah. Oh man,
this is kind of a segue since you mentioned Shinobi. Yeah, so talk about what is Shinobi? Who are the guys in Shinobi?
Oh man, so Shinobi is a video and photography company. We've at this point we're focusing kind of more on the West, mainly because that's where we're from. We're trying to rep it a little bit. Yeah, I mean we're kind of open to working with businesses and people like outside of the West. Yeah, and we're still pretty early days. So we initially started kind of to make like silly videos and like skits and like originals and stuff like that. But that costs money, bro. And that's money, bro. And that's money we don't have right now.
You'll have it soon. Don't worry, man. Just just do that hustle, bro. Do that hustle. Watch out for the Toyota RAV4, guys.
Oh man, I don't have that RAV4 anymore.
Oh, okay, all right.
I downgraded
to a bicycle, man. Hey, bro.
Shinobi's a bike gang now. Yeah, no, so yeah, what else can I say about it, man? Like yeah, so we've kind of just been hustling with kind of just any project we can kind of get our hands on. It's a little bit hard now because of lockdown. Yeah, like you know how it is. But yeah, because we're deemed non-essential, like yeah, we pretty much can't operate at this moment, which kind of sucks. But is what it is.
Right.
So who are the guys that you started this off with?
Okay, so there's 4 of us. We all met in high school. So there's John, AJ, Punch, and myself. Yeah. So I guess I'd give a little bit of history. We all went to the same high school. We all kind of just bonded for just whatever reason. I don't know. I guess like we all just got along really well. We were definitely the goofy kids in high school. We also skated, and then as we got older, like outside of high school, we kind of all pursued either education in like film or like video or photography, and then that kind of led to like doing freelance work. And then the first lockdown, we kind of all ended up being either stood down or jobless. And yeah, so we all kind of just were like, you know what, instead of being 4 freelancers, why don't we just become one company? Because we were already collaborating with each other whenever we needed the help. we were just like, why don't we just kind of make this official now and just like, yeah, make it a group. And so that's been since October 2020, and now we're here in 2021.
Almost October, man. Almost 1 year.
Yeah, man.
Congratulations to you guys,
Congratulations, man.
I mean, like, it would be nicer to be in a better situation where like we could operate. Because we're coming up to like 2 months in this lockdown, am I right? Or
just about.
Yeah. And what sucks was like we found out, I think it was a month into the lockdown, that we could actually be working. We could and we couldn't. Like we were allowed to, but there was like a lot of loopholes we had to kind of go around.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just, we've been stagnant for the last 2 months because again, like, what can, there's only so much that we can do. Like we can't even meet up with each other. You know what I mean? Because again, like, we're deemed non-essential. And there's only so many Zoom skits we can do, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not that we've done any, but like, yeah. So yeah, man, it's been good up until like this long lockdown. What else can I say, man? Like, what's the
vision for you guys? Obviously, I know you guys started with that pandemic project and stuff like that, which that was really good stuff. How you really want to bring to light how businesses were doing and how they were able to adjust and pivot in these crazy times. Is that something you guys want to focus on more?
So again, like, I think to reiterate I wouldn't say the end goal, but I guess the initial vision was to kind of focus more on original work. So be it like, skits, shows, or anything that we kind of produced on our own.
Okay.
The initial idea. And so it's kind of funny because Pandemic Project came about because we were all broke. And the way that we all kind of saw Shinobi was that essentially we were a new company.
Yeah.
Not a group of 4 freelancers who had, I wouldn't say been established, but they had worked, somewhat. So when Shinobi came about, it was essentially just a whole new entity.
Right.
So the idea was like, if we're a completely clean slate and we were to approach a company, say we approached you guys, right? You're not gonna go through 4 Instagram profiles and be like, oh yeah, I like your work.
True.
Because at the end of the day, why do you want a group of 4 guys when you could just go with a 1 guy,
right?
So our first goal was to come up with a project that was free for both us and the client. And then it was like, okay, so if the project is free, what would the project be about?
Right.
And we didn't want to just do another like, hey, here's an introduction to this company, right? Because like all of these companies have a blog, or if not a blog, like an about page where like it's like, hey, here's like all our details, here's our history, here's our story. So it was just like we were kind of racking our brains, right? And so we were just like, man, like, what do we do? So even before, so I'm currently like working at St. Berg's, right?
Right.
And even before I was working there, people were messaging me being like, "Hey man, is that place open?" I'm like, "Bro, I don't work there. Like, why are you asking me?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was kind of like it's kind of strange, like yeah, and I was just like, man, like people don't see how uh like the pandemic has affected these businesses.
Mm.
That's where we kind of came up with this idea of like, okay, so if we do like a minor like introduction to the company, right? That then gets people interested.
Yeah.
But then we talk about a pandemic and a lockdown that has affected everyone for like the past like 3 or 4 months or whatever it was at the time. Like, then at least we can see like, oh, everyone's going through it. Because when we started Shinobi, I was working for St. Berg's, I think 3 months at that point. And I had a lot of chats with Dan, the owner of St. Berg's. Oh, sorry, one of the owners of St. Berg. And I was just like, he kept kind of bringing up like, oh, people don't understand, like they're hurting as well.
Yeah.
Because they're a local like shop. They're not, some multi-million-dollar corporation or whatever. Yeah, so if they were to like stock up and then restrictions get harder, there's a very high chance that that stock isn't sold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for example, when the 5K restriction was implemented, that meant that anyone outside of that bubble, couldn't travel, right? And for the most part, like Uber wasn't traveling that far. Deliveries, like they started deliveries, but it wasn't as well known as a feature.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of people were like kind of stuck in their ways with like using Uber and food delivery apps. So yeah, they were kind of going that route.
Right.
So then we were like, you know what, like let's kind of tell that story. And then it kind of flexed into like, okay, we can't tell the same. Well, it's not that we can't tell the same story because a lot of, especially like in food, a lot of the restaurants kind of move towards delivery only. And it's like, okay, so if they did that, that's cool, but let's also look at kind of unique perspectives on how to change. Or, our interest in Soup Baby came about. Yeah, and it was also just about reaching like a diverse group of people.
Right.
So I think it was easier for us to reach out to food people because it was a lot of what we knew. But yeah, that's why we also reached out to you guys because we knew you guys were doing something different. And you guys said yes.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
thank you
that
for
helps, right? No, I mean, like, thank you guys too. Like, yeah, you guys helped us out. Like, yeah. But yeah, so like pandemic project. We're kind of in the talks, or we were in the talks of like doing more, possibly even evolving the idea. But yeah, we'll have to see for now. The one good thing is like our network is always evolving and always growing. So yeah, we've been meeting new people, talking to new people. So we just gotta figure out what we want to do with everything basically. So yeah. And I mean like, yeah, once this lockdown ends, then we can start operating for real. Like because yeah, man, like that's the thing. We can't, like I said, we can't do anything. So.
Yeah. No, I think that pandemic project that was really good because you got to see all the different stories of different people, all the local business, because you focused a lot of on small and local businesses and how they were struggling and how they had to adapt.
Yeah.
And so I had a question on when you were filming all those projects, you got to see all the different people's perspectives and lessons. What was one of the lessons that you really learned from listening to those people's stories? What was it?
I mean, like I think the general story with everyone was just like it's kind of just coping with changes. Like, yeah. It's just being adaptable, really, because you know, a lot of these places could have folded if not for adapting to the situation. So, yeah, man, like it's, I don't know, like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's really just kind of being adaptable is probably the best way to, or is probably my best answer.
Yeah, they all had to adapt some sort of way, or else they're just gonna have
kind
to
of
fold or something like that.
fold or like just take a big hit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, yeah, it's hard, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of the whole purpose of like pandemic project as well, was just like, yeah, I guess showing. Yeah, it's gonna sound cheesy, but like the resilience of the human spirit, bro. Yeah, no, like yeah, it's about yeah being adaptable. I guess is probably the best, because like I said, like you kind of have to adapt your own way.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a one size fits all kind of fix for everyone.
Yeah.
Like I think for what would have helped one company wouldn't help you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I think that's probably, yeah, probably the best answer I can give.
I was gonna say, what has been? All right, you guys are almost at your 1 year of starting your own business, working together. What has been some of the highlights of going into that journey and being where you are now?
I think, well, that's the thing, like I can only speak on my behalf. Like I really can't speak on everyone else's.
Of course.
For me personally, like it's doing something I love, and B, like actually getting to work with my brothers. And yeah, and then there's just like the community around it has been really, yeah, really good, man. But yeah, I think that first bit, or that first part of the answer is probably like the major part, like because again, I keep bringing up this job, bro. Like, okay, so you know how I mentioned before, like how do I crash this car to get money? A lot of those thoughts stopped once I was fired.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of those thoughts actually stopped. Because it was just like, man, how do I like get money quick so I can just leave this shitty job? Yeah, and that's the thing, was just like that job just, it wasn't for me, man.
Right.
The money was decent, like especially like being a team leader. But yeah, like in terms of just my overall happiness, like man, I'm so much happier. Like I could be it's not even a stretch. I could probably be broke tomorrow and still be happier than I was at that place. Yeah, I mean, like, and like I said, it's not even a stretch. Like, I could possibly be broke tomorrow.
Damn, bro.
But the reality is, like, I would probably not, you know, probably wouldn't have it any other way. Like, you know, I'll give a big shout out to my missus. She's been really supportive throughout this whole thing because, like, she really wants to, like, you know, get a house and all that.
Yeah.
While I'm still doing this, and I'm like, man, I could go back to kind of that industry and do a like role. But I just don't want to put myself through like that, you know. I kind of just don't want to put myself in that environment again.
Right.
Because I felt like it just wasn't doing anything for me. And like it's funny, like when I was like 15 or 16 or something like that, because I went to a Catholic school where we had to wear a uniform and it was basically a suit, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I remember having this conversation with my cousin, and I'm like, man, I can't wait till I don't have to wear a suit. Cousin was like the opposite, because like he's a very well dressed guy.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in the suit. He was like, nah, man, like I can't wait to actually like I'll be in this like uniform, but like actually be like in a fly suit. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fair, but I'd rather be in jeans and a hoodie, bro. Like,
right.
And then he was just like, oh, but what job lets you do that? And it's funny because I was stumped at the time. I'm like, yeah. So it was just like, yeah, not that that job made us, you know, wear suits or whatever, but it was like you had to be presentable and,
of course,
you know, and I guess it's more so not the uniform that you had to wear, but it was more so the environment of like, I don't want to be like cooped in an office.
Yeah.
You know, 8 hours a day, not seeing sunlight, in front of like a cold computer, just like tapping away. Yeah, man, like, yeah, I'm a lot happier like where I'm at now. Yeah, like money's a big issue, but whatever, we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you mentioned like now that you're working, you know, with your brothers and stuff like that, like you get that's like one of the positive parts of working where you are now. Like you have all these friends and you know that you're close with. If you were to swap, if you were to have those friends in the job that you had before, would you stay in that job?
No.
No.
I'll tell you why, right? I've had this situation, right? I've had some of my best friends come through that job, and they all left.
Damn, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, no, but the reality is like, I guess if I was to, it's funny. Like again, like as a team leader, anyone knew that came through that place, I told to leave. Right? Like I told them it's not Jasper.
Jasper, right? Yeah, just Will give me advice, bro. Like sometimes
it's just people talking, bro. It's just people talking. What do you mean? Talking, bro. Like doesn't mean anything. You just talk.
No, but you were a real G. Like I appreciate you for that. Like at that time I was like pretty, you know, naive because it's pretty much like my first job. But then you see stuff, right? You see how it is. But yeah, like you come to understand.
And that's the thing. Look, I'd been at that company, I think 3 or 4 years. I would say 4 years, right? And I'd seen it all. Yeah, I'd seen it all. So I was just like, I remember we had a big intake of new people. We had a project come in, and I led another team of, I think it was like 15 or 20 people. And a lot of them, I tried to have conversations with these people, and I was like, because it was a short-term project, so I was like, what are you guys doing after this? And a lot of them were like, oh, I'm just here because like it's school break, or it's quick money, this and that. Anyone who was like, oh, you know what, I actually want a job here. Like, you do not want to. It's the actual job that Jasper got hired for. And I was like, no, like you don't want to stick around. Like this place is it's a black hole. Like once you're in, you're stuck. But like again, you also look at like the people that were there, and I don't want to say anything too bad because like there's still some friends there. But it's like I feel like it's the people who kind of miss their opportunity to do other things, or they figured out what they wanted to do too late.
Right.
Because you go there, you work 8 hours a day for 5 days, and then you get comfy, and things like, life happens, but like you get a mortgage, you get kids, you get so and so.
Right.
So for me, I was just like, man, just get out when you have the chance. And that's what happened with some of my friends, where like some of my best friends that were there, they found new jobs. They just moved on. And then at one point there was a handful of us, and it was just like, it's like, okay, I can live with this group of people, right? But then what happens is if someone's sick or if they move on, I'm stuck in the same place. And that was kind of my mindset, like being there. And I was just like, nah, I can't. Nah, this sucks. Like it's like it's not worth it's not worth staying at a place just because your friends are there. You know what I mean? Like your friends can make the job tolerable, but that's a short-term fix.
Right.
Unless obviously you and your friends are like 100% guaranteed, like can't be fired or can't be moved on, like irreplaceable. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? Because like, the thing is, like, there's always someone who can do your job. There's always someone who can do your friend's job. So it's just like, it's not worth sticking around because your friends are there. So this is why like when I say like working with my brothers is like amazing, it's just like, I don't know, it's like, I mean, it also helps that we're our own bosses. But it's not like we can just fire each other.
True.
I mean, like, you guys, you guys work together. Like, now's the time to talk shit about each other. No, like, but you know what I mean? Like, 100%, I guess, like, you guys could, I mean, you guys can relate, right? Like, compared to your co-workers in your other jobs, like, I'm assuming you guys prefer working with each other, right? Otherwise,
no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
100%.
exactly. I mean, You guys can tell me later.
This guy's trying to.
Man, you're trying to cause a storm, bro.
Number one instigator, bro.
He's stirring the pot, man. He's stirring the city gang, man.
Stir, bro.
I got nothing but love for Jasper, man.
That's it. That's what I mean. It's just like,
fuck it up, bro. I got nothing but love for you too, bro. Yeah. If I was gay, I'd turn gay with you.
That's it, man. Like, just to send us the messages, bro.
Hey, man. Hey, you know. It's 2021. It's 2021, bro. Polygamy. Polygamy, bro.
But yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, yeah. So I guess it's definitely different, like being put next to people who then become your friends. Whereas like choosing to work with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, like so on. So that definitely makes a difference. Yeah. Probably the best way I can put it. That was my red horse.
That was a red horse talking about. That was a red horse talk. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think this, you know how you're talking about this one place, how do you think it's not only the place, it's that being comfortable of where they're at, and then not willing to be uncomfortable enough to risk trying to be where they want to be?
That's the thing. I can't judge anyone that's there, because they're all there for a reason, right? Like, and for the majority of the people there, it's to get money.
Right.
That job specifically, they're there to get money, because a lot of those jobs there, I don't want to say easy, but they're easy jobs, right? A lot of those jobs don't require education. So a lot of those jobs are like, here's maximum like a week's worth of training, and then you go do that job for the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like, a lot of those jobs, a lot of those people, either the boat has sailed for them and they're kind of stuck there because of other commitments, be it like family, mortgage, whatever else they need money for, or comfort.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it gets you, like, because again, like, for a lot of those people, the money is decent. It's decent for the work that you do, right? I remember one time I had a really big weekend, like massive weekend, and I rocked up, and it's funny because I was with my boss at the time. We went together, a big weekend, and we were both scat, and we still smash targets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how it is for some people. It's just like, right, this is too easy. So it's like, why would I do anything else?
Yeah, true.
And that's that's the other thing, man. Like, you gotta look at the demographic that works there, right? A lot of those people are either uni age, whether they're actually studying or just taking like a gap year or whatever, or they at least have 2 kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some of them have grandkids. And that's the thing, like the work's just too easy. So it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, the other thing is, like, when opportunity arose, they won't go for it. I mean, and if it wasn't for the bosses that I had who actually made those jobs look mad easy, in reality they are,
I
wouldn't have gone for it too, because I was too comfy. But yeah, it's just like, man, the jobs are easy, bro. Like, again, like, you know, I can't knock anyone for their journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of those people there are there because either comfort or they have commitments that they just can't get out of.
Right.
And that's just probably the easiest way to get money, or be like, there's nothing else. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of those people are like older, I'd say late 30s, 40s, 50s, some even reaching like almost retirement age.
Right.
I mean, and it's why I tell like everyone to get out, because your potential is just wasted.
Right.
Too comfortable. And it's why I told you get out. Right? Even before I knew what you wanted to do, I was just like, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know enough that there's potential for, if like, for example, like if you were a complete drop kick, said, okay, nah, stay here, bro. Like, like, but the fact that like you could hold a conversation with me is just like, it's like, okay, so there's more to you, even though I don't know what it is. I know that there is more to you. And this is just a career black hole. You know what I mean? Like, sure, get your money, but once you reach, you know, a certain time frame or certain age, or even a certain, like, you know, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you just having those conversations with you, because it just opened that perspective on things. And then if you actually look at things, and you can kind of see it, right? You can kind of see it. But obviously, we're not here to judge anyone, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just lucky enough. That's why I always say what we have, Gerald and I have. This is a privilege, right? To be able to do this, and that's kind of like a driving force to why, I guess, I need this for now, is just so I can fund this and do what is necessary for that behind the scenes stuff that no one else sees, right?
Yeah, and that's why I would only ever tell you to leave. I wouldn't actually like push you to go out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, so there's obviously reasons that you're here. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, from the conversations that we've had, like, I'm like, okay, Jaspers already switched on, so he's here for a reason. Then it's not just like, okay, he's got nothing else going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, if you talk to me about 3 years ago, I was a bum, bro. Like, like when I initially started Fuji, I was just doing it because of, I just needed it. And then eventually, a couple months later, that's when Gerald and I started this thing. So it was good. You know, who knows where things go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think we only started speaking maybe a couple months after you started as well.
I think we started speaking. It's funny how I met you. I swear.
I have beef with you about that too.
Let's hear the story first.
I have absolute beef with this guy. Right? This is the worst. The worst human.
What do you mean I'm the worst human, bro? Dude, I swear, I always used to see this guy at the gym, and you look like one of my other mates, bro. You legit. Gerald knows. You look legit like one of my other mates. And I was like, what the? This guy's at the gym? And I was just like staring at him like, nah, that's not him. That's not him. And you always give me greases at the gym. I'm like, okay. And this one
in my defense, I grease everyone off at the gym. It's the only time. It's the only time I have resting bitch face is like at the gym, bro. Like, I don't want to talk to no one. Like,
I get you.
You got the headphones on and stuff like that.
Understandable.
To be fair, I wear Beats, so it's like it's hard to see. But it's just like, nah, get away from me. Like, I want to talk to. That's why, like, I'm gonna out myself. But every time someone's like, "Hey, I saw you at the gym, but you didn't say anything," I'm like, "Oh, bro, I'm not wearing my glasses, man. I don't wear glasses, bro."
Damn, bro.
Wait, so what happened?
All right.
So what happened exactly?
Should I tell the story? Do you want to tell your bullshit side?
All right, we'll go from your perspective, man. Let's hear your story.
Perspective, the right perspective.
If you say so, you say so.
So, I was a team leader, and we had a material handler. So basically, it's a guy who brought in pallets of boxes, right? And he brought them in and brought them out. And then what happened was the guy that we had he got moved on to either a different department, or they were trying to phase him out, I think, right? And so my manager's like, "Oh, you gotta find this kid, Lawrence. He's new. He's already doing it, right?" So he's like, "All right, you gotta find this kid, Lawrence." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So I find him. I came up to him like, "Hey, man, my name's Will. We need a material handler. The manager said to come speak to you." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm Lawrence, man. Like, yeah, so and so." And then, like, we went on from there, yeah. So then it was probably like a couple of weeks to about a month or two that we worked together, right? And this whole time I've been calling him Lawrence, right? And we started going to the gym together, right? Because our times just like coincided. And the whole time there, I'm calling him Lawrence, right? And I'm even developing a fucking
hey, Jay, you dropped the bomb.
Sponsored by Red Bull.
Straight from the Filipinas.
The whole time, like, I'm even developing like a nickname, right, for Lawrence. Like, I think I was starting to say like Rents or something like that.
Oh, bro! Oh, that's so sick, man. Rents. Oh,
I was calling you Rents for a little bit.
Damn.
Anyways, so then it was probably like a couple of months. We'd gone to the gym for a bit. Like, we were like legit gym partners for a bit.
Yeah.
And then my manager goes, "Hey, we have to move you on to a different department." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then she goes, "Oh, can you introduce the new team leader to Lawrence?" I'm like, "All right, yeah, easy." So I did that. And this dude has the audacity, right? So I go, "Hey, so-and-so, this is Lawrence." And this fool goes, "Oh, no, I'm Jaspers, bro." I stared at this guy for a good minute. I'm like, "Who?" he's Jasper. like, do you have a stroke? You put your name, bro? Like, is that your street name?
I'm Jasper Jr. Oh, man.
Hey, Rogan. Hey, Rogan.
And I'm just like, this fool be going for like a good 3 months or something like that, 4 months. I was like, what? Like, where did this guy come from, bro?
Oh, man.
So he made me look like a fool for 3 months, bro.
I'm sorry.
I'm still cut up about that, bro.
I'm sorry, bro.
Cuts me deep, man. Man.
Making nicknames and everything.
I did, right? Like,
Dad, I want to take this Reds, man.
Bro.
I took it away from you, bro. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. This is my I'm asking for your forgiveness right now, bro.
You should have been like, only my close friends call me Lawrence, man.
Okay, so you know what makes it worse, right? Is like, so I said stuff that I'm still calling you Lawrence. That's what I said to him. I said stuff that I'm still calling him Lawrence. What changed it was I then introduced him to another friend through COD.
Yeah.
And well, you know what? I'll use his name. That's what he prefers to be called. Oh, and then it stuck, and now I'm stuck with it too. I thought like it was gonna be a one-off thing, and Lawrence, whatever.
Damn, bro.
Nah.
Damn, bro.
Nah, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm asking for forgiveness. Please forgive me, bro.
Cuts deep, like, this is gonna take time, bro.
Take all the time you need, man. I'm asking for forgiveness, bro.
I don't think we're there yet. Like, I don't know.
Oh man,
takes some more time, bro.
See, that's the thing. Like having two names, it's so hard to say. They're like, oh, this is Lawrence. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot my name is Lawrence. So I just go with it, and I just go overhearing it. So I'm just, hey, please call me Jasper. I'm like, you know. At that point, I was like that place for not long enough until I was like, all right, just call each other, man. Like, I'm done with this.
So it's always yeah. Sorry, again.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, it's always the case. Like when people have two names, you always like find out like, oh, they're called by something different by another person.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, legit, man. Legit.
Yeah, because I didn't even know your name was like your thing was like Lawrence. I was like Jasper. I was like, what? That's not your first.
Legit, man.
Yeah,
it's my street name. It's my cred. Street cred, man. Street cred.
Yeah.
No, but that's like, so I was gonna say what makes it worse was like, before I was told to meet Lawrence.
Shut up. Lawrence.
I was like, oh, he's the new kid walking around or whatever, because like obviously he went from room to room and he was like going around. And I was like, oh, so he's a new kid or whatever. And the funny part is like, I got both of his names from like a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
And I remember we started this one argument, like, I was like, nah, he said he was Lawrence. I was like, nah. This other person was like, no, he's Jasper. And we're like, who? And we're like, and someone was like, no, they're two separate people, bro.
Damn, bro. Stirring the pot.
And then I was just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with whatever he says he.
Yeah.
So that's why when we met, or like, because we'd spoken once before, but we didn't introduce ourselves. We only spoke. Yeah, and then I was like, okay. So when I actually like properly introduced myself, I'm like, all right, what name does he go by himself? And he drops Lawrence, bro. He dropped Lawrence. And so I was like, well, I guess he's a Lawrence then.
Oh, no, he's a Lawrence. That's so why now. Yeah, you go. Sorry.
No, and then like I remember I went back to that group that argued. And I'm like, nah, bro, he's Lawrence 100%. Like you're stupid. Like Lawrence is one guy. That's him, it's Lawrence. Not once was he like, oh no, I'm like Lawrence Jasper or anything like that. It's just, I'm Lawrence, like straight up.
Which one do you prefer, Jess?
Jasper, man. Like Jasper. Lawrence is it sounds so formal. I'm just like, damn, bro, please don't call me like that, please. But yeah, whenever I introduce myself now, I'm Lawrence Jasper, all right? Like I'm Lawrence Jasper, but please call me Jasper. Done. All right, done.
Well, I'm curious, like, how did that come about? How did Jasper come about?
No, Jasper's my middle name. So Lawrence, this is weird. I knew my name was Jasper since grade 5. And at grade 5, we had to do this roll call. And I saw my name. I'm like, Lawrence, who the heck's Lawrence? And it had like my name in brackets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Jasper in brackets.
Yeah, Jasper in brackets. And then Lawrence, it was Lawrence Menor and then Jasper in brackets. I'm like, who the heck's Lawrence? That's not me. And my parents were like, no, Lawrence Jasper is your name. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm calling myself Jasper this whole time.
Oh, so it's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, man. It was weird, man.
Fair enough.
Fillers love middle names, man. You have one, Gerald? Nah. I'm just Gerald.
Yeah, same.
Because my brother, my ate and Kuya, they have middle names.
What?
But I was like left without one. I was like, you're just Gerald.
All right. Okay. Hey man, it makes life so much easier though. Like just having one name. You get this confusing situation, the two people, it's that Kiwi guy over there, right? You never know, man. Bro, the amount of times people start talking to me in Maori, or like, I'm just like I'm sorry, I don't understand. Like, I'm Filipino, man. Like, oh, sorry, bro.
So that's the first time you and I talked. Like, I don't know if you remember this, right?
I do.
There was this islander lady. He was saying like, oh yeah, this kid looks islander. And I came up because it was in that same room.
Yeah.
And I came up, I'm like, yeah, he's not Philly, bro. I'm like, I'm Philly, he's not Philly. Hell no. Mind you, Jasper was a bit more tan and his hair's curly as fuck, bro. I'm like, nah, this kid. I dropped it again, my bad. I was like, nah, this kid is not islander. Like, nah, no way. I mean, not Philly, sorry. Yeah.
There's quite a few fillers actually that I go, oh, they might be islander actually.
Yeah. You never know, man. You never know.
They have those islander vibes, man.
Yeah.
But they're very similar people, like us and islanders actually, in terms of their big on family and stuff.
I remember there being like some hoopla about like, oh no, Phillies aren't Asian; they're actually like islander.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, man. We're a mix of everything, bro. Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
We're mixed with everything, man. Like, because I was actually talking to my parents. I was like, what are we? Like, what is the thing? Are we like Spanish? Because we got a little bit of Spanish. My dad's like a little bit of Chinese. I was like, like we're in the Pacific Islands, and are we islander or like? I was just like, oh, this is like confusing. I want to find my like ancestry, because like our original people, the Igrots and stuff, like the natives, they're actually black and
Man, that's what we get for having the sexiest accent, bro. We get everything. We go around the world.
Yeah. Mr. Worldwide.
The real Mr. Worldwide, man. That's why they call him Big Will, bro.
It's because of this.
Yeah, man, you got the girth, dog.
I'm working it off.
All right, I see you with the deadlift, dog. I see you.
I'm working it off.
Just 3 questions we want to ask you before you sign up.
Sure.
What are you grateful for? What have you realized? And what's a question you want to ask yourself or to anyone?
What am I grateful for? I'll start with that. I'll probably say so I'm grateful to my missus because she's like being very supportive. Just get that out the way. Come on,
Oh, so cute, man. What a cute guy, man.
Not trying to get in trouble.
She's listening, man.
But no, she's been very supportive of all this. Grateful to obviously my Shinobi brothers. Grateful to the St. Berg's crew. Grateful to you guys for real.
Blessings.
The interactions are amazing as always. And then just in general, I'd probably say, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a bit weird to say, but I'm just grateful that things could be worse.
It could be. Right?
It could be worse.
It could be worse.
Yeah, I guess it's a weird perspective.
I understand.
I
yeah,
you know what I mean.
See where you come from.
So yeah, sorry, what was the second one?
What's something you've realized? Like a realization, anything.
Man, there's so many. There's so many realizations, but I'd probably say the one that's kind of been popping up lately is that no one can live your life except yourself.
Yep.
So opinions don't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, if you ask for an opinion, that matters.
Of course, yeah.
But like, kind of just random or off base or just kind of baseless opinions don't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that'd probably be what I've realized. And then the question. Sorry, is that a question to myself or to?
It can be a question to yourself or something you'd want to ask someone else. Someone, whatever the person might be, what would you want to ask them?
Oh man.
It could be either way.
Damn. Question. That's a tough one, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Because the thing is, like, I think I keep to myself enough that, like, I don't want to know anything. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's a tough question. Like, I don't think I can think of anything for anyone else. I guess for myself, it's just like, why do I need a pee so bad right now? No, I don't know. There has to be a serious one. I just come up with it right now.
It's that red horse, man.
It's the red horse. All my Filipinos know, bro. It's the half liter, bro. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. Like, I don't know. I guess. Maybe I'll flip it on you guys. Like, what would be like one burning question you guys have for me?
Ooh,
like,
reverse pseudo card, baby.
what's the one thing that you've always wanted to know? I guess.
Ooh.
Like, I'll aim it towards me, but like, I guess anything really.
Is there anything you would change in your life right now?
I would hit another car. Sorry. Look, I need money right now. That's the only thing I'll change.
Right. Fair enough, man.
Money won't change me. Maybe.
We'll find out.
We'll find out
when we come next time on the next episode.
I don't know. We'll find out
on the next episode with Will Diasnes. No, I really appreciate you coming on, man. It was good chatting with you, bro.
Yeah, man. That's dope.
Let's do this again, man, and in person, hopefully.
Till next week, bro.
Who knows, man?
Still tomorrow.
There's tomorrow. Who knows, man? Anyway, all right. Let's wrap this up, boys. Thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, and stay safe always.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace out, dogs.